But that's not what we're just talking about today. We got some stuff, Steph. Superman is somewhere right around the corner. This is coming out on July 11th. And it's right here. So the rumor now is that Superman ticket pre-sales have slowed, as now a $100 million opening or less looks likely. That's the rumor. So let's see what this article says on Comic Book Movie. While some estimates for Superman's opening weekend have pointed to it opening with as much as $200 million, it appears not even the Man of Steel will be able to shrug off apparent superhero fatigue. Superman director James Gunn and his cast currently touring the world to promote the first DC Studios movie, but will it pay off when the reboot opens in North America next weekend? Tracking has been all over the place for this one, though the trades recently reported that $125 million to $145 million was looking likely, which was a dip from very early estimates of $185 million to $200 million. At the time, many of those outlets suggested that Superman could debut on the lower end with as little as $90 million. It's got a rumored budget of $225, not including marketing. That would be a disastrous start for the DCU. Gunn has said he'd be fine with breaking even, but a blockbuster that barely turns a profit is hardly a win for a brand already running on fumes. I got to agree with Mike, though. I like Josh Wilding, but I got to agree with Mike. I don't think he likes DC very much. Every article I read from Josh Wilding on DC, it seems like he's kicking him in the ball back. Anyway, talking on the Hot Mike podcast, Jeff Snyder revealed, I'm hearing the Superman pre-sales are slowing down a little bit. I have some sources saying this is looking at a $100 million opening. If that, I've been bullish on this, saying this movie is going to do 160 to 175. I think what's becoming more realistic is 120 to 140. 120 to 140 for 3 days. Pretty damn good, I'll tell you that. Explaining why tracking for any movie is notoriously unreliable, the Insider used the example of Megan 2.0, which flopped this past weekend. He says tracking is nonsense. Megan 2.0 was looking at 45 million opening. It opened 10. Tracking is the biggest scam in Hollywood. Warner Brothers Discovery has gone all out on Superman's marketing campaign, giving it the Barbie treatment. At the moment, it's nearly impossible not to turn your head and find the Man of Steel somewhere. If these numbers are accurate, it's not paying off. Superhero fatigue does appear real with non-fans, and Superman isn't a draw on the same level as fellow icons Batman and Spider-Man. The movie is also lacking an A-list star, though the same can be said for many comic book franchises at launch. Perhaps we should have expected a little controversy on the press tour, as comments from Gunn during an interview with The Real Rejects have upset many fans on social media. The filmmaker was asked how he deals with his online detractors. It's hard to think of another director, studio head who spends anywhere near as much time online, and he may have chosen his words poorly while responding. He said, I do tune out some of the social media, but every once in a while, someone will say something. It's always the weirdest stuff. And then I go, I think I might be getting upset about something a 12-year-old in India is saying. You know what I mean? And I'm like, let it go. While Gunn surely didn't mean to offend people with those marks, some have questioned the necessity of using India as an example. Others are simply annoyed that their complaints about the way he's handled the DCU have been casually dismissed. Again, this one isn't worth reading too much into, but it does go in to show that anything said in this press tour is dissected and not always in a positive light. Okay, lots to say here. So the first thing is, let's just talk about the quote. I'm assuming you saw the interview with Greg. He was so excited. He was so excited for that interview, and I'm sure he is. I know Greg so well. He's probably like, oh man, that's what came out of that. Like, he was so excited to do that interview.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's what people are talking about now. I'm going to call him and make sure he's okay, because like I just know him too well, and he's probably like, oh no, that's not what I didn't want that to be out there, and that's what they're taking out of it. I haven't talked to him, but that's what I
probably would have taken it out of the interview if he thought it was going to be negatively received.
100%. Now I will say this though. A, do I think he meant to take a shot at India and people in India with this? No. Do I think he should have chosen his words better? Yes, I do. I think that I understand what he's trying to say. I get it. But he could have just as easily said, that's probably just some 12-year-old kid in his mom's basement, he could have said. Doesn't matter where it is. Shouldn't never. Yeah. Even if he would have said somewhere in Detroit, people would be like, what do you got to Detroit? Never single out any place. I don't care if it's some kid at the middle of In-N-Out Burger. Well, you don't like In-N-Out Burger? It's like, you can't ever signal out a place. You can't single it out. So that's that. I think that, and I also don't think it's going to do much damage as far as if it was. All right. I know that you guys know Viagra. I know you know Cialis, and you probably even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond just the usual pill, you got to meet RUGIET Ready. There are other companies that rely on similar ingredients to support the blood flow, but RUGIET Ready is the next-gen prescription treatment designed to help amplify the arousal in the brain and increase the blood flow. So if the usual pills aren't doing the trick, RUGIET Ready could be the answer. It's essentially 3-in-1 formula, dissolves right under your tongue to absorb fast, so you'll be ready in just 15 minutes on average, not hours, and it affects up to 36 hours. That means you can stay confident, you can stay present, and in control when the moment's right. If you want proof, over 150,000 men have made the switch, and you can read their customer reviews right on the site. Now, getting started, that's simple. RUGIET connects you with the board-certified doctor 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships to you quickly right to your door. So connect with a provider at rugiet.com/Christian to see if a RUGIET Ready prescription is ready for you. Connect with the provider at rugiet.com/Christian to see if a RUGIET Ready prescription is right for you. You can use that code Christian to get 15% off today. That is RUGIET, RUGIET.com/Christian. Use that promo code Christian. Get 15% off today. Head to rugiet.com/Christian and use that code Christian. Get 15% off today. Use the code to support the show and so RUGIET knows that we sent you. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the RUGIET website for full safety information.
I think, yes, of course, like media training is great, but also we are begging for people to be authentic and not as
Right.
rehearsed. And so I think that's like really sensitive, and I love India. I love the culture. I would hate to disrespect them in any way. And I'm sure he feels the same way. It was probably so random. Yeah, it's like not the best thing, but I feel like in no way did he have some personal vendetta against Indian people or his
No.
fans that are in India. That's absolutely crazy to me and super sensitive. But I think that sucks for Greg and the Real Rejects because they were so pumped to be
Yeah.
there. And yeah, I just think it's a great example of how highly critical people have been about this entire press run with Superman and James Gunn. Like, I feel like the guy
Yeah.
loves what he's doing. Everyone loves working with him. They picked a perfect Superman who just exemplifies him and Lex Luthor. And I don't know, this feels like really, really reaching.
It's just it is one of those like you said, because people are going to be looking to get you. You've got to be so careful with everything you do. I do think that there's something. It is great how he is active on social so much, but I do think that sometimes he gets himself in trouble because he's too active. I think, and I think that people going, oh, he's not listening to what we're saying. You haven't seen the movie yet, so why should he be listening to what you're saying yet? It's like he's not. And by the way, even though he might not say it, he is listening to what you're saying because you guys didn't like that freaking shot of Superman flying, and he changed it. And I don't care what he says, like, oh, I didn't like it in the first place. Well, that's not true. You clearly listened to everybody, and then you changed it, and you listened. So he is listening. The thing is, if you have your mindset that you don't want to see the movie, or you don't like it, or you don't like him, it's gonna be hard for change your mind. It just is. But I think this is like, yes, I think he chose his words poorly, but I agree with you, Steph. He wasn't doing anything like malicious at all.
No.
Now the
It's like
bigger
when you
part,
get annoyed of someone and
yeah,
then it's just over. It's like if they breathe wrong, you're like, "Oh my god,
yeah,
did you hear the way they breathe?" That's what it feels like.
it just look, it's like, what do you say? What did you say?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like it's one of these things where they're just waiting. So that being said,
Yep.
the other side of it is now Jeff Snyder has talked about. There's a couple things that Jeff said inside of this where he had been hearing 175 to 180, right? Then now he's hearing closer to 100. So in that same sentence, though, he said tracking is bullshit, and he used Megan as an example, to which I agree with him 1,000%. Minecraft, another example. We won't know until that it's until it starts to come out around next week, whenever it is, and you start hearing buzz of what it did on that. You'll know by the opening, like Thursday night. You'll know by what that opening night was. Like, oh, that's a big Thursday night, or it's like that was kind of a lackluster Thursday night. What's Friday going to be like? And then if Friday's just as big as then Thursday was, then you're going to know, okay, well, this thing's going to be a monster, or coming in light. So I think where Jeff did say inside of it, I happen to agree with him. I think we're going to land at around 135 is where I say we're going to land for this opening weekend. What about you?
Yeah, I think about 135, but I wouldn't be surprised if, that Thursday, Friday has a lot of buzz and then people just go on Saturday. A lot of people have entered full on vacation mode and they're ready to see movies with their families. And it's 4th of July. I feel like Superman pairs perfectly with that kind of vibe. So I think it's gonna do really well, like we've all been saying. Whether it, like, breaks records or not, I don't know. I'm gonna be in the second wave because I have to wait to see with my mom, and she can't go opening, so we're going the second weekend. So I feel like it will be one of those movies that has a progressive positive.
I think you're right. But let's play devil's advocate. Let's do the side of it that if it does do under 100 million opening weekend, which I agree with Josh Wilding, that's not what DC wants. It's not what they need. They need a big
Right.
win here. They need a really big win, and less than 100 for a movie that they're spending so much money in marketing for and really need it. I think what it will say is, well, I think it says a lot. I think the part of the Superman still not being a hero that people are rushing out to see might be proven truthfully if that's the case. The other thing is, when I said this the other day, it really starts to put the focus on Fantastic Four, saying, are people just over this stuff now? Because Deadpool and Wolverine separate. It was almost played like a comedy. I know people who don't follow comic book movies watch that because of Ryan Reynolds, the comedy, the R-rated thing, and they watched it and they didn't get some of the references. They went and they checked it out. I know tons of people like that, and that's why it made like $1 billion, whatever the hell it made. But a lot of these other movies, but the Marvels, the Thunderbolts, they're not hitting. So the spotlight will shift if Superman does bad. It's going to shift on Fantastic Four no matter what. But the weight starts to really pour on Fantastic Four, not just for the MCU, but for comic book movies in general. So,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah, and that's like a really interesting point to think about because it's hard not to view comic book movies through this almost critical lens just because there was so many and it was doing so great. It was literally the reason people like me were going to the theater all the time. I feel like I was just like ready for another superhero movie. And then somewhere, with the pandemic and the writer's strike, we got a little murky.
Mhm.
And now it's like you see these huge pushes from these studios and I'm really rooting for them, but it was kind of a bummer to see Thunderbolts. I feel like it really tried to not be so formulaic, even though it was playing with a lot of the same beats we've seen with antihero movies before, but I do feel like it took a lot of swings in terms of how it told its story, and it still didn't it didn't budge in the audience to get to the theater. I wonder
Right.
what it will be received now that it's available to purchase, and then when it is to stream, like, maybe people will reignite and be like, "Oh, okay, they're doing something a little different here." But I agree with you. Seeing how this July plays out with the movies will be a big tell and kind of where the general audience is at. Because I'm always gonna see the movies, but, like, the
Right.
general
Yeah.
audience.
And that's the most important thing because
Yeah.
we are going to be in a very, very new era in movies in general, because if it's not a sure thing anymore, even those big ones, Superman, Fantastic Four, if Fantastic Four and Superman and Fantastic Four underperform, if I'm Bob Iger, I'm going, we spent how much on this new Avengers movie?
Yeah, I'm stressed.
Right. It's like people, because then you start to go, maybe people don't care. because it just, and the narrative had, because the thing was what they did with the Avengers phase 1 through 3. I mean, Luke sent me a thing today. Apparently Ironheart was the end of phase 5. Is anyone even paying attention to the phases anymore? I mean,
No, right.
right. Phase 1 through 3 was like, okay, it's leading. This is the end of phase 3, and it's leading to all this stuff, and you're just like connected the whole way through. And now you're not connected to it the way you were before because there was too much of it. So the DCU needs to get their first episode of television, if you will, off the ground. This is their pilot episode. But I do think that it is I think we're looking at around 135. I think that it's got buzz on it. It feels like it's got buzz.
I agree. It does feel like there's buzz, and I feel like there's a good thing going for it in terms of we've had some hits, you know. There have been some pretty good movies in the past few months. So I feel like people are starting to feel that, oh, okay, it's time for I saw like I checked all of the streaming sites last night, just like Thursday night habit, you know, see what's dropped. And so
Right.
many things are dropping. It's like, oh yeah, we're in movie season. Like this is where people start really getting ready to go see more movies and they're out with their family. So I hope that it does amazing. I really hope it breaks 1 billion. I think that would be awesome because I love comic book movies and I feel like they're so fun and important for the culture.
It's like you just said something though that makes a lot of sense though too, of why movies just don't hit those kind of numbers anymore, is because just look at the stuff that just dropped on TV like last week, The Bear, Squid Game, like, and there's more stuff too, that a whole bunch of other things that dropped. And it's like, if you are not like so excited to see Superman, then you're like, you know what? Do you want to go see a movie tonight, or do you want and spend like 30-40 bucks, or should we just order a pizza or something and watch and binge some of these shows? That's what people do now.
I know. Well, the movies are expensive.
No, and you've got to really want to go. That's how the movies that do well, the ones that people really want to go to. It used to be, hey, let's just go to the movies. What are you going to see? I don't know. We'll find something. That used to happen all the time. That does not happen anymore. People just
I know.
unless you have that AMC, like pass. People will be like, I got something to do. I want to get out of the heat. I'm going to go to the movies. I got the paying for this pass. I might as well just go see something.
And the streaming movies are really great. For example, my family, we love the Netflix movies, and Old Guard was my favorite of the Netflix movies, and Old Guard 2 just came out. So it's my dad's birthday. We probably would have gone to the theater. It's the one with Charlize Theron. And they're like kind of like godlike figures who can live for so long and protect people. It's really good. I loved it. And so I've been waiting for the sequel, and it dropped, and I called my dad. I was like, "The sequel's out, so we can just watch that at home together tomorrow." And he was so pumped. But I think that's what we still go to the theater, but a lot of families would just prefer to do that.
Right. It's true. It's true. Well, either way, I am so curious to see what you guys think about this topic. Put your comments in the live chat, put it in the replay, and of course, put it on the Clips channel. You guys are really starting to visit that Clips channel. We see more and more people going over there. There's more and more people commenting. The videos are going up every day. So we thank you for that. And it's a good way. Instead of you looking for time codes here, just go watch the show over there.